So the pre-orders on the Framework Laptop 12 began last week on Thursday. But to be honest, some of the comments that I've received on my previous video about the Framework Laptop 12 concerning its prices surprised me. Why? Well, I think there's this misunderstanding for some people about what Framework as a company actually is. And as some of you may know, I myself was also confused about a Framework's product, which was the Framework Desktop. But to me, the Framework Laptop 12 is a really good Framework product, and I believe it's also a very good deal. But there's one big if. And I think that people who commented these comments on my last Framework video didn't take this into consideration. But first, let's look at the actual prices of the Framework Laptop 12 and compare them with what I said in the last video. And if you watched this video, you know that my prediction was the base DIY edition will start at $599. But the actual price is $549, and that is with the uncertainty of US tariffs already included. Because if you didn't know, on Thursday when the prices got released for every single country, you weren't able to actually order one from the US site, and we actually didn't even know the US prices because of the tariffs that were levied on Taiwanese products by the US. But now that the 90-day pause is in and there's only this 10% base tariff, the prices are official and you can pre-order one even to the US. And in the EU, in Austria specifically, it starts at €569 with the VAT tax included. And in Austria, this is 20%, so it isn't something small, it is a large part of the price. And you could imagine that if it weren't for these tariffs, the US prices might have been even a little lower, something like, I don't know, $519 or even $499, but that's a stretch. But there's one thing that I didn't expect but makes a lot of sense now. In my last video, I was actually talking about all of the 13th gen processors from Intel that are already offered for the Framework 13. But instead of those, we actually got two completely new ones, and even like the higher model is actually worse than the lowest model for the Framework Laptop 13. And honestly, this makes sense to me. Both of these are like good enough for light use, and this is what this budget device was built for. And what is also great is that the worst CPUs from the past few generations are pretty good. It's not like 10 to 15 years ago where the worst CPUs of a generation were basically unusable for anything. Even the i3 will be really snappy and will work great with web browsing and coding and, these light use cases. What I want to say by this is that these thin and light laptops are very limited by their cooling capacity. And in my opinion, it's really good to understand that if you want better CPUs, if you need a device that can do these heavy use cases, you're better off buying a desktop or a much chunkier laptop. Because if you don't, you're gonna struggle with thermal throttling and all of these things that just come with having a thin and light laptop. Realizing this can save you a lot of money because you realize that there's almost no point in upgrading the CPU, and this actually brings me to my main point. I've gotten comments along the lines of it starts at $1,000 in the EU, or for example, the list of the individual components, and then something like with Windows at $150, this is like really expensive and not worth it. And these comments really confuse me, to be honest. And to those people, I actually would say the thing that was once said to me and made me pretty angry concerning the Framework Desktop, and that is, this device is probably not for you. And yes, I know that it's kind of hypocritical to use the argument that was used against me and made me angry at other people now, but let me explain. The Framework Laptop 12 is a good deal if you get the base DIY edition. Framework is a company that makes devices for people that want to understand what they bought and own what they bought. If you don't care about these two things, paying the premium for these two things doesn't make sense for you. If you get the base configuration and add 4 expansion cards to it, and then get 16 gigs of RAM and 512GB SSD yourself, you'll get a $650 2-in-1 device, which is not a bad deal in my opinion. And then if you consider that the laptop will be fully repairable and upgradable, that is even better. And if you really care about, knowing what is happening within your laptop and you want to learn, if you've never done it before, how to install RAM, how to install SSD, and how everything looks, this is just unbeatable in my opinion. Oh, and if you don't see the fact that it doesn't come with an operating system pre-installed as a positive or an opportunity to learn, then that proves my point even more. If that's not your thing, trust me, there are just better deals you can get from Dell, HP, or Lenovo. You'll probably save money and you'll get a laptop that will out of the box work probably better because the company had a huge budget that it could spend on, developing this laptop. So if it just isn't your thing, go buy one of these mainstream laptops. It will really be a better deal for you. And this doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with these companies. I've used, laptops from these companies in the past. I use them now and I will 100% use them in the future. But as I've already said, if you see the things that make Framework special as a hassle, this probably isn't a device for you. So what do you think about the Framework Laptop 12 and its pricing? Will you be getting one? Let me know in the comments. But that will be it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to chat with me and my community, please consider joining our Discord server, link in the description. And you can also look at my Patreon if you, for example, want to chat with me personally or want to see your name at the end of every video. Please consider supporting me there. But that will be it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.